A shared understanding of loss and struggle. The heart of this story lies in the deep, unspoken bond formed between Jax, the battle-worn human veteran, and Vux, the disabled alien boy. Jax, having survived countless battles and bearing both visible and invisible scars, instantly recognizes the look of hopelessness in Vux's eyes. Despite the galaxy-wide fame and glory surrounding the Galactic Tournament, Jax knows that some battles aren't fought in the arena but within the soul. Vux sits alone, feeling broken, watching the fierce competitors with a mixture of awe and sadness, knowing he'll never be one of them. But for Jax, the scene is all too familiar. He once stood in those same shoes after losing a limb in combat, convinced that his days of fighting were over. Yet, just as someone once reached out to him when he was at his lowest, Jax sees an opportunity to pass that gift of encouragement forward. He approaches Vux not out of charity but from a place of deep empathy. He sees a younger version of himself in the alien boy's eyes. Both characters have fought battles, though of different kinds, and Jax's decision to speak to Vux is more than just an act of kindness. It's a recognition of shared pain, a quiet acknowledgement that life's hardest challenges are universal, transcending species and experience. 2. Challenging the definition of strength. The Galactic Tournament is a grand display of physical power, with competitors from all corners of the universe showcasing their superior strength, agility, and combat skills. The roar of the crowd and the thunderous clashes in the arena echo a simple truth here: only the strongest survive. Vux, with his mechanical legs and frail frame, feels utterly out of place in this world where brawn is everything. To him, strength is defined by the ability to fight, to overpower opponents, and to stand tall in the face of danger. Yet, watching the warriors in the arena only deepens his sense of inadequacy. His disability, a constant reminder of what he's lost, makes him feel as though he doesn't belong. But Jax, the human veteran, carries with him a different understanding of what it means to be strong. Years of combat experience have taught him that true strength isn't just about physical dominance. He's witnessed soldiers with perfect physiques fall apart mentally under pressure, while those who appeared weaker on the outside proved themselves through sheer grit and determination. Jax knows from personal experience that the heart and mind are often stronger than the body. He sees the same potential in Vux, a potential that isn't tied to his mechanical limbs, but to the boy's spirit. Through his conversation with Vux, Jax challenges the traditional definition of strength that the boy, and the galaxy at large, holds. Jax gently shows Vux that strength doesn't lie solely in physical power but in resilience, in the refusal to give up even when the odds are against you. By sharing his own story of overcoming injury and returning to the battlefield, Jax illustrates that being strong means getting back up after being knocked down, adapting to new circumstances, and finding ways to keep fighting no matter what. He reminds Vux that his mechanical legs aren't a symbol of weakness, they're a testament to his survival. Instead of focusing on what he can't do, Jax encourages Vux to see what he can do. Strength, Jax explains, is about the battles you fight within yourself, the battle to keep going, to believe in yourself when no one else does, and to rise above your limitations. 3. The power of mentorship and belief. When Jax approaches Vux, what unfolds is not just a conversation but the beginning of a profound mentorship. Vux has spent his life watching others excel, trapped in the belief that his physical limitations define his future. For so long, the boy has felt invisible in a galaxy that praises strength and glory, his dream of becoming a warrior seemingly impossible due to his disability. His mechanical legs, a daily reminder of what he's lost, have become symbols of failure in his mind. But Jax sees something in the boy that no one else has: the spark of a fighter. He recognizes that Vux's potential is not defined by his current physical state but by his will to succeed. In the quiet corner of the tournament grounds, away from the roaring crowds, Jax offers Vux something far more valuable than sympathy. He offers belief. He doesn't see Vux as weak or broken. Instead, he sees someone who has already survived great hardship and has the resilience needed to overcome even greater challenges. When Jax hands Vux the practice staff, it's more than just a simple gesture, it's a symbolic passing of the torch, a chance for Vux to take the first step toward reclaiming his confidence and sense of self-worth. Jax's role as a mentor goes beyond just teaching combat techniques. He is teaching Vux how to believe in himself again. With every instruction, Jax slowly dismantles the boy's negative self-perception, guiding him to see his prosthetics not as limitations but as tools that, with training and patience, can be mastered. The veteran's patience and unwavering belief in Vux begin to have a transformative effect on the boy. Where Vux once saw himself as a spectator to life, unable to participate in the grand challenges of the galaxy, Jax opens his eyes to the possibility that he, too, can be a competitor not just in tournaments, but in life itself. This interaction, the story, showcases the incredible power of mentorship, how one person's belief in another can be the catalyst for profound change. Jax understands that the greatest battles are often fought internally, and with every encouraging word, he helps Vux fight the battle against self-doubt. The bond that forms between them is one of shared experience and mutual respect, as Jax helps Vux recognize his own worth and the potential that lies within. Jax's belief in Vux is the fuel that reignites the boy's own belief in himself, planting the seed of a new beginning in Vux's heart. 4. The spark of hope in an unlikely place. The Galactic Tournament, with its blaring fanfare and relentless pursuit of victory, is the last place anyone would expect a quiet moment of transformation to unfold. So yet, amid the towering stadium, flashing lights and roaring spectators, a small, intimate interaction is taking place on the periphery far from the spotlight. Vux, sidelined both literally and figuratively, watches the fighters from a distance, feeling as though the galaxy's greatest achievements are meant for others, not for him. He has spent his life feeling invisible, his dreams buried under the weight of his disability as the world around him celebrates strength he believes he will never possess. The arena symbolizes everything Vux thinks he cannot be, a place of glory, competition, and triumph that seems out of his reach. But it's in this unlikely place, at the very edge of the tournament spectacle, where the spark of hope is ignited. Jax, weathered by his own struggles and triumphs, steps out of the shadows, offering Vux a lifeline, a small, seemingly insignificant act of kindness that carries the weight of the universe for the young alien boy. So in a setting where physical power is idolized, Jax brings a different kind of strength to the forefront, the strength of compassion, mentorship, and belief in someone else. He doesn't stand in the arena, basking in the glory of his victories. Instead, he kneels beside Vux, choosing to invest his time and wisdom in a moment that could easily have gone unnoticed by the world. As Jax leads Vux to the training circle, away from the frenzied attention of the tournament, the space around them transforms. It is no longer just a practice area, it becomes a place of possibility. Vux, whose life had been dominated by feelings of inadequacy, begins to see himself in a new light. Jax's encouragement, his guidance, and his unwavering faith in the boy begin to peel away the layers of doubt and despair that had clouded Vux's vision for so long. This moment of connection, though small compared to the galaxy-wide battles raging on the grand stage, is infinitely more significant. For Vux, this interaction is life-changing. He begins to realize that the tournament, both in its physical and metaphorical sense, may not be as out of reach as he once thought. While the rest of the galaxy cheers for the champions in the arena, Vux's true victory is happening in the quiet corner where he's learning to believe in himself. The arena, once a distant dream, is now a place where he can imagine himself, not as an outsider, but as a competitor. The grand spectacle of the tournament is still impressive, but the real transformation is happening away from the flashing lights and screaming fans in the heart of a boy who, for the first time, is starting to believe that he, too, has a future worth fighting for. Human veteran approaches disabled alien boy in the middle of a galactic tournament and does something unexpected. The Galactic Tournament was a spectacle like no other. Held every few years, it was a celebration of the galaxy's finest warriors, where champions from across star systems gathered to prove their strength, skill, and endurance. The arena, a colossal structure stretching far into the sky, was packed with roaring spectators, aliens of all shapes, colors, and sizes, all drawn to the electrifying excitement of the competition. The air crackled with energy as combatants clashed in dazzling displays of power, their blows echoing throughout the dome. But on the outskirts of the stadium, far removed from the thunderous applause and the bloodthirsty cheers, sat a solitary figure, an alien boy named Vux. His lavender skin glistened faintly under the soft lights of the stands, and his 4 eyes watched the battles with a mix of awe and sadness. Vux was young, barely old enough to dream of competing, but he carried a burden far greater than his years. His legs, once the agile limbs of a hopeful athlete, were now mechanical prosthetics. After a devastating accident on his home planet of Zepor, Vux had been left disabled, his dreams of fighting in the tournament shattered. He sat alone, isolated from the noise and the excitement, holding on to the crutches that had become part of his everyday life. As the crowd erupted in cheers for yet another victory in the arena, Vux sighed, staring longingly at the fighters who moved with a speed and strength he could no longer hope to possess. His mechanical legs, though advanced and functional, reminded him every day of what he had lost. He would never be like the others, the champions whose names were celebrated across the galaxy. He would never feel the rush of adrenaline as the crowd cheered his name. Or so he thought. As the latest bout ended and the victorious combatant, a human, tall and broad-shouldered, stepped out of the ring, Vux's attention drifted. The human fighter was older than most of the competitors, his face lined with scars and his once shining armor scuffed from countless battles. His name was Major Jax Ironclad Carver, a war hero from Earth. Known across the galaxy for his resilience and tactical brilliance, Jax was a veteran who had survived more battles than most people could imagine. But his glory days were behind him, and many wondered why he still fought, why he still put himself through the rigors of the tournament at his age. Jax wiped the sweat from his brow, casting a glance around the arena. The roaring crowds, the flashing lights, the triumph of victory, all of it was familiar, but none of it held his attention. His eyes, weathered and sharp, fell upon something different, a boy sitting alone, far from the grandeur of the tournament's main stage. Vux, with his crutches and downcast eyes, was watching the fighters with an expression Jax knew all too well, an expression of longing, of loss. Jax had seen that look before. He had worn it himself once, years ago, after losing his leg in a war that seemed a lifetime away now. His prosthetic knee, hidden beneath his armor, was a constant reminder of the battles he had fought and the price he had paid. But Jax knew something that Vux didn't yet understand, something that went beyond the scars, beyond the pain, beyond the prosthetics. Without a second thought, Jax made his way over to Vux. The boy, startled to see the veteran approaching, sat up straighter, unsure of what to expect. Jax crouched down in front of him, leveling his gaze with the boy's. "Hey kid," Jax said, his voice gruff but kind. "You enjoying the show?" Vux hesitated, then nodded slightly, his voice barely a whisper. I wish I could be out there." Jax's eyes softened. He had heard those words before, spoken by young soldiers who had been injured in battle, by men and women who thought their lives were over because they could no longer fight. He had spoken them himself, once, in the aftermath of his own injury. Jax had learned the hard way that physical scars were only one part of the battle. The real fight was internal, and it was far more difficult. "You think you can't," Jax said, glancing at the boy's mechanical legs. "You think those things make you any less capable?" Vux looked away, ashamed. "I'm not like the others. I'm broken." Jax raised an eyebrow, his expression hardening not in anger, but in determination. "Broken? No way, kid. You're not broken. You've just been rebuilt. And sometimes the parts they rebuild are stronger than what you had before." Vux stared at him, confused. "Stronger? How could I be stronger with these?" He gestured to his legs, frustration evident in his voice. Jax smiled slightly, reaching down to tap his own leg. There was a soft clink as his hand connected with the hidden prosthetic joint beneath his armor. "I've been through it, kid. Lost this in a war. They told me I'd never fight again. But I didn't listen. You know why? Because strength isn't just about muscles and bones. It's about what's in here." He tapped his chest. And here he pointed to his head. Vux blinked, trying to process what Jax was saying. For so long, he had believed that his disability meant the end of his dreams. He had been told by others, and by himself, that he would never be like the warriors he admired. But Jax was different. Jax wasn't looking at him with pity. He was looking at him with something else, something that Vux hadn't seen in a long time. Belief. "You want to be out there, don't you?" Jax asked, his voice steady. Vux nodded, his eyes welling with emotion. "More than anything." Jax stood up and offered his hand to the boy. "Then come on. Let me show you something." Vux hesitated for a moment, then slowly reached out and took Jax's hand. The veteran pulled him to his feet, helping him steady himself on his prosthetic legs. Together, they walked toward a nearby training circle, a small area used by fighters to warm up before their matches. The crowds were too focused on the main arena to notice the two of them, and for a brief moment, it felt like they were the only ones in the world. Jax handed Vux a practice staff, a lightweight weapon used for training. The boy looked at it uncertainly, his hands trembling as he gripped the handle. "I can't," Vux started to say, but Jax cut him off. "Yes, you can," Jax said firmly. "You just need to start." With a gentle push, Jax encouraged Vux to swing the staff. The boy's first attempt was clumsy and awkward, his body still adjusting to the weight and balance. But Jax was patient. He stood behind Vux, guiding him through the motions, showing him how to plant his feet, how to pivot, how to balance himself on his prosthetics. It was slow, painstaking work, but Jax didn't rush him. Every movement was a lesson, every mistake an opportunity to learn. Bit by bit, Vux's movements became smoother. His swings, once uncertain and shaky, grew more confident. Jax watched with a mixture of pride and satisfaction as the boy started to find his rhythm. Vux's mechanical legs, which had once felt like a curse, were now supporting him, allowing him to move in ways he hadn't thought possible. Jax stepped back, giving Vux the space to practice on his own. The boy, now lost in concentration, continued to swing the staff, his eyes focused and determined. For the first time in what felt like forever, Vux wasn't thinking about what he couldn't do, he was thinking about what he could. "You've got the heart of a fighter," Kid Jax said quietly, watching him. "Don't let anyone take that from you."